All right, Prop the Mic, PTM, coming to you live on a Monday, December 11th, 2023. We have a joint NBA and NFL pod today. As always, today's podcast is presented by Props.cash. Remember, we could definitely not do what we do without Props.cash. So if you think you're ready to level up your prop betting game, use code PTM at sign up and get 25% off your first month on Props.cash. It's well worth it and very profitable. What's up, Dave? You ready for this?
I'm ready for this. First off, I'm sporting my Props.cash sweatshirt that I just got this weekend.
Very nice.
Beautiful sweatshirt that was created by the guys over there in honor of them hitting 100K followers on X.
Very cool.
Thank you to our friends at Props.cash for the gear. If we keep going with them, I'll have a full closet worth of stuff to wear.
There we go.
Very shortly. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I think this is I would say like a full glass of NBA today, and like maybe a shot of NFL. Is that a fair summary of what we're going to cover today?
That's a fair summary, I'd say. Yeah, we can't. We've been doing so well with NFL that it's hard to neglect it, even though we're both NBA heads over here. But yeah, we got to stick with the NFL.
Yeah, we're up over 80 units in NFL this year, which is pretty crazy after only a couple months. And NBA, we're doing okay as well. We're up 10 units. What we usually find with the NBA season is that we kind of tread water in the first half of the season until we get like the right data, and then we move into pretty great numbers in the second half of the season. But to be up 10 units is good. We're happy with that. We'll see that grow as the season continues. But anyway, we're gonna take a slightly different approach for today's pod. Tom and I just spent the last couple hours together, kind of going through the props that were popping out of our model the most. We actually had 25 player props that came out. We went through, we prioritized them. We came up with the 15 that we liked the most. But we are working on a way to kind of get this full list to you guys. So in the coming weeks, you'll see something from us on a way that you can potentially get this full list of our cheat sheet, so that you can see it even before we get on the pod. But more to come on that. Without further ado, you ready to dive into the first one?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So first player on our list, maybe you can cover this one, was Clint Capella tonight in the Atlanta-Denver game. What do you like on Clint?
Clint, we could look at rebounds here. His rebounds are looking really nice. Pull up the chart there.
Yeah, it's coming up. There we go.
All right. Okay, sorry. I'm just trying to get it over here. Sorry. All right. Clint Capella, you'd think against Denver, right? You're a little worried about rebounds. But if we look at his last three games, overall 16, 12, 17, nice rebounding output. His last two games against Denver, he had 11 rebounds in each of those last two games. And then let's see what else we got. They're at home, and the home splits. Last 6 of 9 at home, looking pretty good.
Yeah, 6 of 9 at home, and then I think we also were looking at the days rest for Capella as well. If you look at over the last year and a half, this was the one that popped out to us, right? So home games on 2 days rest, he is 7 for 7, right? So that's a pretty nice story there. Makes sense for a guy who's kind of battling on the boards all game. So I think that's a really nice play. So what do you think? We're good with this one?
I love it. Yep. Yeah. The 2 days rest at home. I love those days rest filters, especially when it's not 1 day, 0 day, 2 days, 3 days. So we got a lot of those today, and this one's really popping. So loving PTM favorite, of course. Loving Capella here today.
Can we really get this for plus money too? Wow, that's crazy. DraftKings has it for minus 110, but FanDuel still has it for plus 100.
Wow.
And Caesars plus 106. So seems like a good opportunity. I think Denver, is always gonna come with some skepticism, like you said, because of Jokic and his ability to just pull down 100 boards, but still seems like a really good matchup. So let's go with Capella, 10.5 rebounds.
All right.
That was the only pick that we had from the Atlanta Denver game. Moving on to the Brooklyn Kings game, there were actually quite a few that were popping out in this one. We had Dinwiddie, we had Bridges, and we had Cam Johnson. We looked primarily at Cam Johnson. So you want to give the play out for Cam?
Yeah, Cam, we were on his assists. You got a 9 at 2.5 assists. Let's pull him up right here. So let's see. Oh, sorry, I'm on I'm on Cam Thomas. Sorry, Cam Johnson. All right. So we have, what is this? 5, 4, 6 of his last 8 games. He's cleared this. Where are we at on the road? His last 3 straight road games, 3, 5, and 3 assists. You can still get this for plus money on FanDuel, plus 106. Anything I'm missing here?
What was his history against Sacramento? I think the matchup was definitely screaming a play there. I think, yeah, he had only played against Sacramento once, and that was like right after he was traded to the Nets. I'm not sure that's a great data point. Any other he's considered a power forward. It's kind of questionable. Any other power forwards against Sacramento that might be?
I mean, a lot with 3 assists. Aaron Gordon 3 assists, Zion 6, Zion 6, Zion 5. Let's see, Jeremy Sohan.
Zion did it 3 times in the last 3 weeks or something.
Yeah,
like
whatever.
That. Yeah. Cat with 4, Draymond with 3, Aaron Gordon with 3, like you said. So it's such a low number that we kind of liked it. His playing time is a bit up and down. I think that's probably the biggest concern with Cam. He only played 24 minutes the last game, but in the 2 games prior to that, he played 30 plus minutes. So you could see his hit rate is pretty high as well once he hits 30 minutes. So we think he'll get good minutes tonight. Fast-paced game, one of the higher scoring games of the night. I think 3 assists is a good spot, especially at plus money.
Yeah, for sure. All right. What else we got from this game?
That was it. Like I said, Dinwiddie was also popping for assists, and Mikal Bridges was also popping for, what was it, rebounds or assists? Which one did we have on that?
He was assist as well.
Assist, yeah. So you could see very similar players. They all were really good matchups against Sacramento. So we decided to go with Cam, but you can look into those 2 guys as well. Let's move on to the the Charlotte-Miami game. Duncan Robinson was the player that was popping in this one, and specifically for points. So you want to start with the
if you just look overall, this is 8 of his last 11 games. He's cleared this line and scoring about 16 points per game over those last 11 games. So that was looking very nice. He played Charlotte on November 14th, had 18 points in that game. So that was looking good. Any other splits here?
Yeah, I think Bam is out. So we looked at him without Bam as well. He's cleared this in 2 of the last 3 games that he played without Bam, which were all in December. So, I think that's also a good story. He should get some, obviously different positions, but should get more minutes with some of the other players out. Lowry was also day to day. Highsmith is out, so these are all reasons to potentially lean heavier on Robinson for bigger minutes tonight, and he's
Yeah,
already been crushing it. So I think it's a great play.
very nice.
Shooting guards also versus Charlotte, I think have been doing pretty well. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, so we had Caruso with 12 points on a line of 8.5. Kobe White, that's a really good comp. I think 19 points on a line of 17.5. Kobe White's pretty much exclusively shooting threes these days, at least. I think Cam Thomas had 26 points on a line of 20.5. So those are all within the last 2 weeks. I think those are all pretty good comps for Duncan.
Yeah.
All right. I don't think we had anybody else in that one.
No.
Let's move to the Chicago-Milwaukee game. This one was pretty exciting. We found some good stuff on this one. Obviously, a little obvious play here would be to focus on Giannis because he's had a pretty good history against Chicago. Both his points and his rebounds were popping. So you want to start with kind of the PR?
Yeah, let's look at the PR. Nice. Milwaukee's on 3 days rest, a little extra rest after all that in-season tournament action. If we look at what Giannis has done on 3 days rest since last season, he's cleared in 5 of 6. His line is 43.5 PR. He's averaging 47.5 PR in those 6 games. The only one he didn't get there was actually the one this season against Charlotte. If we did a little bit more digging, I don't know if that was a blowout or not. Charlotte's
he only played 28.5. 28
so
minutes.
Probably that was probably had something to do with that. If we look against what he's done against Chicago, they played twice this season. He had 40 in the last game, 46 in the game before that. So he got there in one of the last 2, but he's cleared in 3 of his last 5 overall against Chicago. And Chicago's a pretty good comp. They're running back pretty much the same team they had last season. So I think looking at those stats from last season is nice. He did have 67 PR in one of those games against Chicago last season. So this is a nice spot for him. I think we talked about a parlay too, right?
Yeah, before we cover that, I think Wemby was also the comp that we were looking at, a power forward that really kind of plays more like a center. He put up 41 PR against Chicago just a couple days ago, so I think that's a really good comp. And if you look his rebounds, I think what did he have, like 20 something? Yeah, 20 rebounds against Chicago on a line of 9.5. So I do think if I were to choose between points and rebounds, I think I would lean more towards the rebounds. Because that's where he was more consistent. Giannis was in the 2 games. He put up 11 and 14, and his line is only 11.5. And you can see the 11.5 is plus 110. So, so what we said is why don't we bring the rebounds down just 1, right? Pay the juice on that. And then let's pair it with 25 points, right? Which he did clear in both games against Chicago. He had 35 and 26. You put those 2 together, it was roughly even money on FanDuel. So sorry, on DraftKings. So I think that's another approach. If you don't love the PR, you're worried about a blowout. I think 11 rebounds, 25 points as a parlay is a nice way to go for Giannis as well.
Yes, very nice.
All right. That's all we had in this one. The only other player that I recall popping was Chris Middleton. We'll just look at him real quick. Again, we're not playing this, but just kind of sharing.
It was his rebounds, I believe, too, right?
Yeah, his rebounds. If you look of late, 4.5 rebounds seems like a no-brainer for him. He just put up 7 in that in-season tournament game. Really since his minutes ticked up to 20 plus, he's been clearing this in most games. So it probably is a good spot. But we were just a little bit worried about like what kind of minutes Middleton would get coming out of the in-season tournament if they'll kind of pull back a little bit on him. But they could also go the other way and play him 30 plus minutes going forward for the rest of the season. And if that's the case, this is a home run. So we passed, but just something to chew on if you want another play in this game. All right, let's go to
Yep.
Cleveland, Orlando. These two teams just played recently, so not only do we have all the matchup data that we look at, we have a really recent, good data point to look at. Donovan Mitchell is the player that was popping out
Yeah.
first, and then we got an even more exciting play after that. But let's talk about Mitchell, 5.5 rebounds. Why do you like this one, Tom?
Look at his last 5 games there. 13, 11, 7, and 7. One of those sevens was against Orlando. Um, so that was really nice. Where else was popping for Mitchell here? If you look at 2 days rest, he's had 7 rebounds in 3 of his last 4 games on 2 days rest.
Wow.
So that was nice. And then do we have some nice no, I guess that was it. Was there anything else we were looking at?
No, I think the thing that we were on the fence on this one, I think the thing that pushed us over was the 7 rebounds he just had against Orlando. They are on the road today. Let's just see really quickly what Mitchell does on the road.
Oh, the other one, Mobley's out, and the last 2 games he played without Mobley, 13 rebounds and 8 rebounds in his last 2 games
Yes,
without Mobley. Yeah.
that is what pushed us over the top. So this was Mobley. Um, yeah, this was last game without Mobley this year. So 13 rebounds. That's crazy. And yeah, like Tom said, played Chicago last January, had 8 rebounds. So I think that's a ton of rebounds. Mobley's been rebounding really well this season,
Yeah.
10 plus rebounds a game. So that's going to leave a lot of those like missed shots by Orlando up for Mitchell to grab instead of Mobley.
Hmm.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Allen's minutes are still somewhat limited. So you would think that most of those rebounds would go to Allen, but I do see Mitchell being super athletic, getting up there and grabbing it. So definitely could see him putting up 7, 8, 9 rebounds in this game. So love that play.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a nice one.
All right, let's go. Let's go. PTM favorite.
Franz Wagner. Here we go. Assists. So like you mentioned, we have a recent data point. Last week, these two teams met, and Franz had 9 assists in that game. Beautiful. If you look over his, just in his last 4 games, 8, 5, and 9 assists. Really nice. Where else was looking good for Franz?
Yeah, I think some of that is probably I don't remember what game Jalen Suggs went out, but you have Suggs out, you have Fultz out, at least for some of these games. That's going to put Franz more in a ball handling situation, right? You
Hmm.
got the rookie Anthony Black and Cole Anthony being kind of the primary ball handlers, but I think certainly Franz's touches are probably on the rise. So I think Suggs might be back. He was game time decision when I looked up his status. Fultz is definitely out. So I think the weakness of the backcourt right now because of injury is putting Franz more in a ball handling situation. And I also think scoring wise, um, if you look at him against Cleveland, not just last game, but even dating back to last season, 16 points, 17 points, 14 points in the
Mm.
last 3 matchups. I think he struggles in this matchup a little bit. That might change with Mobley being out, so we just got to
Yeah.
factor that in. But I do think it's not the best scoring matchup for him. So because of that, he's probably kicking it out. And quite honestly, the heater that Bancaro is on is probably also contributing
Good point.
to more assists for Franz. So I think you factor all those things in. He's probably in a pretty good spot tonight to get the what was it, 4 assists again. And we liked why not? Let's roll the dice and put a little sprinkle on him to get 8 assists, which he has done in 3 times in the last 4 games, one of which was against Cleveland. You can get
Yeah.
8 assists on DraftKings for plus 1,200.
It's
So
amazing.
I think that's worth a little sprinkle for tonight. Obviously a
100%.
long shot, but I think it's a good long shot, especially given the recency and uptick.
Yeah,
So,
he just did it. So let's go back to it.
all right. So I think that's it for this game. Let's go to Houston, San Antonio. Who did you like in that one?
Keldon Johnson was really sticking out here in terms of points. So if you look at him just against, we could look at against Houston, 2 of his last 3 games against Houston with 20 and 32 in the 2 games he went over. If you just look at his last, I mean, go to 2023. Look at that. I mean, look at that consistency there. 2021, all those 22s. So that's really nice. The one game he played on 2 days rest this season, he had 26 points against Toronto. If we go to 2 days rest and include last season, this is where it gets really spicy here. You got, what is that? 8 straight games on 2 days rest where he's cleared this line and by never less than 20 points.
Yeah, that seems like a home run.
Yeah.
He certainly is better at home than on the road overall, but when you look at the 2 days rest factor put in there, he actually has done really consistently well on the road as well. So, I mean, these are the kind of guys we want to target. We want to target guys who get big minutes, guys who are consistently putting up, points in a certain range and not going from like 40 points one night down to 10 points the other night. He fits that mold really well. And I think it's a pretty good matchup. I think the other thing, Tom, that you noticed earlier, we don't have an update on this, but on the injury report, Dylan Brooks was listed as potentially out.
Yeah, he's questionable.
I see him. I see he disappeared from the list, so maybe he's playing. But not really factoring that in. But certainly, if Brooks is out, that only makes this prop even better. So,
yeah, for sure.
All right, so
Dylan
I love
Brooks defense. Yeah.
All right, let's go on to your hometown team there, the Clippers. Got 2 props on the Clippers side. Let's start with Paul George. What do you like for George?
All right, Paul George, we like his points here. So we could just quickly look at his last 2 games against Portland. I would look more. They played Portland in the first game of the season. He had 27 points. So a little bit different. I would, to look at Portland from last season. It was towards the end of the season, but the team's quite different. So, but he did clear. And even the Clippers from the beginning of the season without Harden. But still, Portland, he got it done. Let's see his last what are we looking at? Look at his home splits this season. Really nice. He's cleared in 8 of 10 home games this season, averaging 23.7 points per game at home. So that was really nice. Minutes are up. If you look at some of those minutes from the earlier in the season, 31, 27, 32, but then you look over the last few, he's playing monster minutes, 38 minutes a game pretty much. So I think this is a great spot for PG in this game.
Yeah, what do we consider him a small forward? Let's see what small forwards have done against Portland. You got Tim Hardaway. Obviously, Paul George is a much better player there. There aren't great comps. I mean, LeBron, I don't even know if I'd consider that a great comp. Paul George is definitely more of an outside shooter kind of player, but I think I don't know if there are any great comps for George that have played against Portland, but I just think at home, I think it's a great matchup. So 22.5 points, minus 108.
Yeah. Devin Booker had 28 points.
Oh, Booker.
Yeah.
I don't. What is he classified as?
He's a shooting guard, but I think he's a decent comp for PG.
Yeah, I think that's a much better comp than any of the guys I just listed. Even
Desmond Bane too. I would say he had 30 points. It's another decent comp. Yeah, 30 and 33. Bane.
I think 30, 33. I think when George goes off, he's basically just drilling from the outside. So 3-pointers and such. So I think that'll be definitely part of that tonight. All right, who's his teammate that we also liked?
Ivica Zubac. Okay. Rebounds. Just look at the last last 7 games. I mean, he's got games in there with 14, 13, 12. If you look against, I think you already had that screen up, against Portland, 4 straight games against Portland, including the one game this season where he had 12. Did he have any nice 2 days rest stats? Yeah, 4 of his last 5 games on 2 days rest he's cleared. So that's nice. Yeah, I think this is a nice spot for Zubac here. Let's get the double maybe.
Yeah, I think we also we're looking at some comps, right? Derek Lively 9 rebounds, Looney 8 rebounds, Ute 7 15 rebounds, Jared
Yeah.
Allen 10 rebounds. So Nurk,
Nurk,
who's
yeah.
probably a great comp, 12 rebounds. So Anthony Davis 14 rebounds, and
Pirtle had 10.
yeah, there's a lot of good comps. If you're not comfortable playing him up to 9.5, I think he's a home run for like 8 or 9. So if you want to put that as part of a parlay, you want to take even 2 of these plays together, George for 20 points and Zubac for 8 rebounds, 9 rebounds, something like that. That's also a good way to approach this. But
yeah, that could be a nice one.
Yeah, seems like a pretty good spot for him to get 10 rebounds. So we're going with that one.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to your favorite play of the day. We've already posted this one up on X, but let's just hear why you love this so much, Tom. Chet Holmgren, what do you like?
17.5 points. He's cleared this in 7 of 11 at home versus 2 of 10 on the road. So, you get the rookie in there. Makes sense. He's better at home. His last 2 games on 2 days rest, he's cleared, including 33 points against the Sixers about 2 weeks ago. And you have some nice comps. You got Karl Anthony Towns, 32 and 25 points. You got Kevin Durant, 39, 38, and 26 points. DeAndre Ayton, 22. Miles Turner, 22. Domantas Sabonis, 22. So I think Chet is going for 22 tonight. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at power forwards, you look at centers, even regardless of how you classify him, he's kind of got a hybrid game between both of those positions. But even Zubac put up 18 points. Gobert put up 15. AD put up 26. So you got both positions putting up big points. Also, if you look at the injury report, Lauri Markkanen is out and Walker Kessler is out. So like who is guarding this guy? And even John Collins is day to day. So that whole front court is a bit of a mess. So I think Chet's in a great spot to put up 20 plus points tonight.
Yeah.
I think, did you talk about his oh no, he hasn't played against Utah yet.
Utah,
no. So I think that's enough for us to go for that one. If you were able to buy it down to 16 and pair it with something else, his hit rates go up even higher. So that's another potential approach. But yeah, we love Chet tonight. Love the season prop that we put out for him at 13.3 points.
Looking good.
Yeah, looking really good. He's only maybe another 15 games away from getting to the games threshold where we would be able to cash that. So loving that season long prop we put out as well. All right, let's move on. We got same game actually, 2 more picks. We got 2 picks on the Utah side. So with all those other guys out, we kind of went with the guards for Utah. So let's start with Jordan Clarkson. What do you like there?
His assists looking very nice. 4.5 assists. It's minus 111 on FanDuel. He's cleared this in 6 of his last 7 games overall. His last 2 against OKC, including 12 assists when he played OKC towards the end of last season. So that was nice. And then I think without Markkanen in there, he's cleared in all 3 games. Is that correct? Yeah, 3 of 3 games without Markkanen in the lineup this season, including a 10 assist game not too long ago. So this is looking pretty good. Did he have some nice 2 days rest splits? Possibly. No.
He had only one game this season on 2
Yeah,
days rest where he had 5 assists. So
yeah,
there wasn't like a ton of data supporting it, but mainly the overall last 10 games have looked pretty good. And I mean, let's just use some logic here. He's like one of the last starters that's actually going to be playing today. So I think the ball is going to be in his hand like most of the game, and he's going to be firing away and also passing for to get 5 assists. I think it's. I don't think he'll blow this one out of the water like some of the prior matchups, just because he doesn't have that many people to pass to. But I think 5 assists is pretty solid today.
yeah. Looking good.
Let's look over to Keontae George as well. We had a rebound prop for him. What do you like on Keontae here?
Let's pull this up here. So Keontae, he's got his lines 3.5 rebounds. You get a -113 on FanDuel. He's cleared this in 5 of his last 7 overall. He's cleared this. If you look without Markkanen, is that what you have up right there? Yeah.
Not yet. I'll pull that up
Oh,
right now.
Okay.
That was just his last 10 without Markkanen.
Yeah. Well, it looks similar to without
similar.
Markkanen there. Yeah. So yeah, the rebounding definitely has ticked up since Larry's been out of the lineup. I don't know if it's the same without Walker Kessler. No,
That's
not as
question.
he's done it in only 2 of 7 games without Walker Kessler.
Yeah, but he hasn't played a game with both of them out. So
correct.
I mean, that's between the two of them, that's 20 rebounds a game that somebody else needs to grab now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously different position, but again, I think he's in a pretty good spot here to grab 4 rebounds. He's been crushing that of late, or at least getting there of late. I wouldn't say crushing. Opposing guards, is he considered point guard?
Yep.
I think this was the other thing we looked at recently.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
Yeah, Steph Curry had 6 rebounds. Aaron Holiday had 6 rebounds. Luka had 15, so he's clearly not Luka's level, but Luka's line was only 10, right? So I think those are 3 pretty good examples.
Look at a good one is Maxi's line was 3.5, just like his. He had 8 in that game. Chris Paul, right. 4. Pat Bev, his line was 2.5. He had 4. Jordan Goodwin's line was 3.5. He had 5. So yeah, this is looking pretty good to me.
Yeah, they're not a great. That's actually probably the biggest weakness of OKC is their rebounding. So I think there'll be plenty of rebounds to go around. The biggest risk would be maybe a blowout tonight, but I don't know. I think Utah staying long enough for Keontae to get 4 assists and for Clarkson to get 4 rebounds and for Clarkson to get 5 assists. So those I think are 2 good plays. Again, if you want to take some of the risk away, you can put the 2 together, try to alt them both down 1 and put that together as a parlay. That's another approach. All right.
Yeah. All right.
Let's go. This might be the most exciting but chalky play of the day. Let's talk about Embiid.
Yeah. This one just really sticking out here. So he was popping out for points and assists. But we ended up we preferred just his straight point line, and I mean just pull up his splits versus Washington. It's really unbelievable. They've played twice this season, 50 and 48. That 48 game, he didn't even play the 4th quarter of that game, still put up 48 points. So his line is what are we getting it at? 33.5?
Yeah, we had it at 33.5. We were paying the juice before that. Now that's come all the way up to minus 150 on DraftKings, or you can go to which does push him, this one game last year in March, he would have missed that. But again, I think very different teams. So let's just look at the 2 games this year, 48 and 50. I don't think it really matters if you're at 33 points or 34 points. I think he's pretty good for either of those. You can also play him at 45 points. I think it was close to like plus 500 or plus 600. I think that's worth a sprinkle considering he's done this twice already this season. The crazy thing too about about that game in November, November 6th. I believe it was that game. If you look, he scored no points in the fourth quarter in that game. And the
Yeah.
reason why is that game was, I think, a blowout, and he didn't even play the fourth quarter. So that's the most insane part of this is
Yes.
this most recent game in December was actually a fairly competitive game. He put up 50. The game before that, he only played 3 quarters and he put up 48 points. So this does have the makings of an Embiid like 60-point game. I think he might just like go for it after getting all that extra rest and just try to like put up 60 points tonight. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think Giannis is a good comp for Embiid. Giannis in the 2 games, 31 and 42 in 2 games against Washington. I think even Brook
Yeah.
Lopez had a 39-point game against Washington. So
Oh yeah, he did.
yeah,
Same game as Giannis going off.
yeah.
Uh,
Pascal Siakam had a 39-point game against Washington, another decent comp. So yeah, this is I think it's one where you don't overthink it. I think this is Embiid's just going to go out and dominate.
Yeah, we played. I think it was the last time Washington played uh, uh, Philly, and we played Melton. And one of the reasons why we played that was because everybody else was on Embiid already, so we were trying to find a play that was unique.
Mhm.
And Melton cashed. He ended up cashing, I think, in the fourth quarter. But as I was watching that game, I was like, and Embiid had already like pretty much cashed at halftime, I think it was. I was like, why did we like try to get too creative with this one? Like this guy has
Yeah.
it is in a perfect matchup. Daniel Gafford can't guard him. There's like nobody that can stop him. Um, there was absolutely no reason. So I think the only risk to him not clearing this line today is a massive blowout. But again, the game back in November was a massive blowout, I believe, and he got 48 points and only played 3 quarters. So I think he's going to put up so many points that even if it's a blowout, it'll be because of him. So I think it's a good play. I don't think Washington really has the personnel to make any adjustments to stop him. So I think he's going to go off tonight.
Yeah.
We had a lean on Maxey. Maxey was popping on our list as well. Really good, matchup in terms of point guards versus Washington as well. But again, he hasn't had the same success against Washington, probably because Embiid's got the ball in his hands the whole game. So we're taking a pass on Maxey. We do like a play on Melton. You want to talk about that one, Tom?
Yeah, his RA is looking very nice. It's 7.5. You can get it -132 on FanDuel, -160 on DraftKings. So you got to shop it around a little bit. But in their last game against Washington last week, he had 9 RA in that game. That was 5 rebounds, 4 assists. He's had 4 assists in both games against Washington this season. And then 5 and 3 rebounds in the 2 games against Washington this season. I don't think looking against Washington last season is, too helpful
No.
just because they've changed so much. But what do you got on? He's only played 1 game on 2 days rest this season against OKC a couple weeks ago. Had 7 rebounds in that game.
12
So,
RA.
yeah.
Yeah, in that one.
Sorry, RA. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's
I'm
a
on
good play. I think the biggest risk to Melton, Melton's just been a great play lately. Like we cash on him almost every time we play him. I think the biggest risk is the presence of Oubre back in the lineup. That really will draw some minutes away. But again, remember, Oubre kind of went out when that Harden trade happened. So PJ Tucker, who was eating up a good amount of minutes, he's out of the lineup. Batum is back is into the lineup. There was a lot of moving parts. So even comparing Oubre's impact on Melton earlier in the season, I'm not sure it's that relevant. And Melton's starting. He's still starting for the time being. So I think unless we hear otherwise, I think continue to play Melton. And specifically in this game, I think RA is a great way to cover yourself. So
yeah. Also, he's cleared in 4 of his last 6 on 2 days rest at home. So yeah, looking good. I think we can go back to Melton here. Now let's go to my boy Denny. How about
All
it?
right, let's finish off the NBA props with one of your favorite players in the league.
Let's do it. Denny assists. It was actually the number one overall assist matchup on our big board here today. So I liked it from the jump. It was really popping out, and then it makes sense because if you look at what he's done against the Sixers in the last two games, he had 8 assists last week and 6 assists the game before. So I think this is beautiful. You can get this, it depends which way you want to go. You can get this if you want to pay the juice. FanDuel 3.5 at minus 140. DK's got a 3.5 minus 160. But now you're starting to see it, at 4.5 for plus 125. So I think you could, I don't know, would you lean one way or the other? You think you're okay pushing it up to 4.5?
Yeah, I mean, he's only landed on 4 twice this season, one of which was the last game that he played. But I don't know. I mean, I think if I'm gonna alt him down, I'll alt him down to 3 and put it with like another play, just to juice it up. Even if you did like Embiid, 30 points or 35 points and Denny 3 assists, I think that's a nice way of juicing up the Embiid play. But I think if you're gonna play it, just play it at 3.5, 4.5. I think they're both pretty good spots, especially
I think so.
Especially given the history. They've already played twice in the last month and in a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
so I think that's good.
Love that 8 assists last week. That's that's beautiful. Yeah.
I mean, he's between Kuzma and Poole, right? You got 2 guys on the team that are that are going to shoot the ball every time they touch it. So if he's passing to them, that's always an assist opportunity.
Yeah. Before we switch over, before we switch sports, we have one question here from Mel Rose. What about Gordon Hayward for points? Miami versus Charlotte.
You don't have to convince Tom about Gordon Hayward. Tom's a big Gordon Hayward fan.
Let's take a peek here.
Ooh, look at that. What do we have? 16.5 points? Is that what was asked about? Or
I didn't give the line. It's even 15.5 at
15.5 on FanDuel. It doesn't really make that big of a difference. But and they are playing Miami, kind of a somewhat depleted Miami. So historically versus Miami, ooh, that's a nice little history there. I think it's hard to look at this season or really any season with Charlotte just because they have such a fluctuation in their lineup. But let's look at them without LaMelo Ball. That's pretty good, right? In 4 out of 5 games, the last 4 games without LaMelo Ball, he's scored 17 plus and put up almost 20 something in over 20 something in 3 of them. I think that's nice. Let's see him with, I think Bridges was back for all of those games. So let's make sure. Yeah. So Bridges was in for all of those games. So I think that's pretty nice.
Terry?
And then,
what about Terry?
Oh yeah. We got to throw Terry back in that mix. I think Terry kind of, those guys leaving and coincided with Terry coming back. So yeah. So Terry was there for all 5 of those games. Bridges was there and LaMelo was out. So that's good. Let's look at small forwards. You consider him a small forward or a shooting guard?
Small forward, I would say.
Yeah. So you got some pretty good comps. You got Mikal Bridges, Chris Middleton, similar game. OG, George Niang. They all cleared their lines of late, and the players that did miss their lines, Buddy Hield twice, of course.
And you can look at shooting guards too. He's in our wing in our model as a wing. So those are the 2 positions you'd look at. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you consider him a shooting guard, it's even better, right? Look at something. Gary Trent just cleared his line by 3.5 points. Bruce Brown scored 30 points on the Heat. Mathurin cleared. Bruce Brown again. I love to see that when players clear against the same team multiple times in like a week.
That's got no answer for him then.
That's always pretty encouraging.
Yeah.
Let's just look his 3-pointers during this span. Has he been shooting a lot of threes? Not really. They're in like 2 each game. So this is mostly coming on
Yeah.
like little jump shots and maybe some action at the rim. So I think I think it's a good play, especially with Bam being out, and that Heat team being a little depleted. I think it's a good spot. You good with
Yeah.
that too?
Nice call, Mel. Good
Yeah,
work.
very nice. Yeah, I love the question. So definitely, as you guys think of other player props that you were looking at, feel free to toss them into the chat, and we'll try to make sure we cover them. All right.
You ready for NFL?
Let's hit NFL real quick. Let's start
Okay.
with let's switch over on props.cash. We're gonna do this really quick. Let's start with the Green Bay Giants game. Give me your first pick here. You want to do the one on the Giants side?
Yeah, so we noticed tight ends against Green Bay was something that is popping out as a great matchup here. Especially over the last 5, 6, 7 weeks. So the Giants have a young tight end in Daniel Bellinger that's been playing pretty well for them lately. Look at that. Last 3 or 4 games, 43, 34, 38 yards. So, and the line's only 14.5 minus 120 on DK. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to see what some tight ends have done against Green Bay. I mean, Kelsey, 81, Sam Laporta, 47, Donald Parham, 57. I mean, look at all these monster games. That's why it's popping out in the model there. So, yeah, I think, on a nice low line like this, I think this is a good spot for Mr. Bellinger.
Yeah, we were on him a couple weeks ago and he cashed. Love the tight ends. Tom and I were just talking about this before. Tight ends are a great way to play receptions and receiving yards, as are running backs. We're big on that as well because their catch rates are just through the roof, right? You got 80, 75, 80, 90% because you got these, the balls that are being thrown to them are high percentage catches. So I like that. Minus 120 on DraftKings, I think, is the best you can get it on the major books. And I think it's a good play. The only other thing I was looking at for him was really just his targets. It's really about the targets. He only had 1 target against New England. They didn't cash there, but the prior 3 weeks he had 3 targets. So I think if he gets 2 to 3 targets, I think this is a home run.
Yeah.
All right.
What do you got?
Yeah, I went on the running game. I was just kind of targeting like where are the Giants the weakest. So I think AJ Dillon's in a great spot to clear his line. It's up as high as 65.5 on PointsBet. FanDuel has it at 62.5 still. They're the only ones hanging in that area. So if you look at like the season as a whole, it doesn't look like a very good play. Only cleared in 25% of his games, 3 out of 12. But if you look at the last 4 weeks, he's had 70 yards in 2 games. But let's look at a couple things. First is let's look at his rushing attempts. And let's just see what his line is set at. So 15.5 rushing attempts is his line. So if we go back to the rushing yards, and on props.cash, if we scroll down to the attempts filter, right, you can see last week he had 18 attempts. If we just look at him getting 16 plus attempts, he's cleared in 2 games this year. If we filter that all the way back for the last couple seasons, this is what AJ Dillon has done when he's got 16 plus attempts, right? He has cleared 62.5 rush yards in 7 out of 8 games. So I think that's great. I think he's going to get a lot of volume. Packers are -6 in this game, so I think they're going to be up and looking to run the ball to kill the clock. Giants passing defense has been actually pretty decent. QBR rating for opposing quarterbacks is one of the lowest in the league over the last couple of weeks. So that's going to put Love more in a position to hand the ball off. And the only other thing was just opposing running backs against the Giants. Let's see, where is that?
All right, you just passed it.
Did I? Oh, I had tight end filter on. That's why. Let's look at a couple opposing running backs. Ramondre Stevenson had 98 yards. Same game. Zeke had 46 yards. Brian Robinson, 73 yards. Tony Pollard, of course, only 55 yards. Josh Jacobs, 98 yards. So that's all within the last 4 or 5 weeks. Some good running backs are crushing. I don't think they got anybody who could stop AJ Dillon. So 62.5 rushing yards on FanDuel. Let's go get it. All right.
Yeah. I think game script wise, this fits the way it should play out. So I think this is a good one.
And then real quickly going over to the Tennessee Miami game. I think you've seen we've put a couple plays out on X. The first one was really around passing game against Tennessee. Let's just look at opposing quarterbacks against Tennessee of late. You got, there we go, quarterbacks. Right, so you got Gardner Minshew put up 312 yards, Bryce Young only 194, but then Trevor Lawrence 262, Baker Mayfield 278. So that's all within the last month. Tua is kind of on a different level than all of these guys. So I think Tua is in a great spot. I also think the Dolphins at home are really crushing it. If you just filter this down to home games, right? He's cleared this line in 4 out of 5 games. So the biggest risk is a blowout. I think he got like a 13-point spread or something like that in this game. So check out on X. We put up a bunch of different combinations of alted down lines that involve Tua's passing yards, Tua's passing touchdowns, Tyreek Hill also at 100 plus yards, Tyreek Hill at an anytime touchdown. Those all have cashed in every single game, those alted lines that we put out at home for the Dolphins. And then the other one that you can think about, we don't usually get into game lines, but the Dolphins have won every single home game by over 6.5 points. So that's another thing that you can tack on to any of these player props to move the odds up. So put out a bunch of combinations on X. I would definitely suggest getting up there and checking
sprinkle
that out.
on a few of those.
Yeah, exactly. We put a quarter unit on all 8 plays that we put up, and hopefully all 8 hit. So, all right. Anything else?
I think that covers it. Nice long pod today. But that was good. I love these NBA picks we got out, letting the model do the work for us. So we'll get a couple more of these up on X, and a lot of games to watch tonight. So looking forward to it. And you ready to make some money?
Let's do it.
All right. Nice work.